My ex-husband is now my step-and-clay thought I left him behind forever. Until he showed up at our family dinner, smiling, sitting next to my aunt as her new husband. In this shocking family drama, a woman's past collides with her present when her ex-husband suddenly becomes part of her family. Once bound by love, now tied by blood through an unexpected marriage, their lives twist into a story of betrayal, awkward family gatherings, and painful secrets that refuse to stay buried. What happens when your past follows you into your home wearing a family title you never imagined? The past we tried to bury, I never thought I would have to speak Adam's name again. For years, I practiced the art of forgetting burning photographs, deleting old text messages, ignoring the scars that whispered his name when the nights grew too long. He had been my first love, my first heartbreak, and my biggest mistake, back. Then I was 23, young and foolish, believing love could survive on passion alone. Adam was charming, reckless, and intoxicating in ways that made me feel alive. He could walk into a crowded room, and all eyes would shift toward him, as though the world itself paused to listen. And somehow, in that chaos, he chose me for a while. It was beautiful. We built a little world together, late-night drives through New Jersey backroads, greasy burgers at diners where he'd kiss me across the table, promises whispered under cheap motel sheets when rent was late and love was all. I wanted forever. I thought he did too, but forever came crashing down too quickly. It started with lies, little ones, harmless at first. He'd come home late smelling of perfume that wasn't mine. He'd disappear for weekends, claiming he was with old friends I never met. I wanted to believe him, but the truth always finds its way through the cracks. One night I found proof. A message flashing across his phone, words meant for someone else. The same words he used to whisper to me when I was still naive enough to think I was his only world. I confronted him. The fight was ugly, filled with accusations, slammed doors, and tears that burned like acid down my cheeks. He didn't deny it, not fully. He just laughed, shrugged, and told me I wasn't enough to keep him. The marriage unraveled from there. Papers were signed. Rings were sold. We became ghosts in each other's lives. After the divorce, I tried to stitch myself back together. I moved into a small apartment in Brooklyn, picked up extra shifts at the bookstore where I worked, and promised myself that Adam was nothing but a chapter one had closed. My family rallied behind me, especially my Aunt Clara. She was the kind of woman who carried warmth in her smile, the kind who knew when to pour a glass of wine and when to just sit in silence. She told me that love didn't end with heartbreak, it just changed its shape. For a while, I believed her. Life steadied. I learned how to be alone without feeling lonely. I stopped flinching every time I passed by the places Adam and I used to haunt. I even started dating again, nothing serious, just quiet dinners and walks through Central Park. It wasn't love, but it was healing. I thought I had buried Adam in the past. I thought he would stay there, locked behind doors I refused to open. But life has a cruel sense of humor, because years later, when I walked into Aunt Clara's house for a family dinner, I found Adam sitting at her table, smiling as though he belonged there. And in that moment, every scar I thought had healed split wide open again. A familiar face at the dinner table. Aunt Clara's home always smelled like rosemary and garlic, the kind of fragrance that could pull you back into childhood, no matter how many years had passed. Her house in Queens wasn't grand, but it carried history, family photos framed along the hallway, knitted throws draped over couches, a dining table that had seen decades of birthdays, Christmases, and Sunday suppers. That evening, I walked, and with a bottle of wine tucked under my arm, expecting nothing more than laughter, a little gossip, and one of Clara's hearty casseroles. My cousins were already there, their voices carrying from the kitchen, warm and familiar. I smiled, loosened my coat, and felt the tension of the city slip away. But then I heard it. A voice. A laugh. A sound I knew far too well. It couldn't be. I froze at the entryway, my heart slamming against my ribs. For a moment, I thought I was imagining things that maybe grief or exhaustion had conjured a ghost. But when I stepped into the dining room, the ghost was flesh and blood. Adam. He was sitting at the table, relaxed, leaning back in his chair like he owned the room. His hair was shorter now, flecked with gray at the temples. His jawline was still sharp, though the boyishness had been replaced by something harder, something older. He hadn't seen me yet, but I saw him, and my stomach dropped into nothingness. "Sweetheart, you made it," Aunt Clara called, rushing over to hug me. Her warmth pressed against me, but my eyes were locked on him. When he finally looked up, his gaze caught mine. Recognition flickered instantly, followed by something else, something smug. His lips curled into the same crooked half-smile that once made me weak, but now made me want to scream. "Everyone," Clara said brightly, "I want you to meet my husband, Adam." The world tilted. I thought I misheard her. Husband? No, that was impossible. But there he was, standing now, moving toward me with that predator's grace I remember too well. "We've already met," he said smoothly, extending his hand as though we were strangers. Small world, isn't it? I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. My aunt's eyes sparkled, oblivious to the hurricane crashing through me. Double quotes. "Yes," I forced out, my voice thin and sharp. "Very small." The dinner that followed was torture. I sat across from him, watching him charm my family the way he once charmed me. He laughed at my uncle's jokes, complimented Clara's cooking, asked my cousins about college. To them, he was perfect, a polite, attentive man who adored their beloved Aunt. But under the table, I felt his eyes on me, burning, daring me to expose the truth. "So, Adam," one cousin asked, "how did you and Aunt Clara meet?" My fork froze mid-air. Adam leaned back, chuckling. "We ran into each other at a charity event. I was volunteering, and she was radiant. We got to talking, and the rest, as they say, is history." Clara blushed, sipping her wine like a love-struck teenager. My heart cracked. I wanted to scream, to shout that he wasn't who he pretended to be, that he had shattered me once and would do it again. But Clara's joy was so pure, so untainted, that I bit my tongue until it bled. Toward the end of dinner, Adam raised his glass. "To family," he said, his eyes locking with mine as the rim of the glass brushed his lips. I forced a smile, clinking my glass against Clara's, while inside I was drowning. Because my past wasn't just haunting me anymore. It was sitting at my family's table. Whispers behind closed doors. I barely slept that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw his smirk across the dinner table, the way he raised his glass as though mocking me. My skin crawled with the memory of his voice, calling Clara darling, a word he once reserved for me. I tossed and turned, the city lights flickering through my curtains like restless spirits. By dawn, my chest ached with exhaustion, but my mind refused to rest. How could this be real? How could Adam, the man who broke me, now sit ahead of my family table as if nothing had happened? The universe wasn't just cruel. It was sadistic, too. Days later, Clara called. "Sweetheart, wasn't dinner wonderful?" Her voice was light, joyful in a way I hadn't heard in years. "I was worried you might think it was sudden, me marrying Adam, but you seemed, well, quiet. Just taking it in, I suppose." Quiet. If only she knew. I forced a laugh. "Yes, Aunt Clara, it was surprising. But if you're happy, that's what matters." "Oh, I am," she gushed. "Adam is everything I never thought I'd find. He listens, he cares. He even helped me fix the leaky sink yesterday. Can you imagine?" I closed my eyes, gripping the phone tighter. I could imagine. too well. I remembered Adam's hands skilled at fixing things, dismantling them, rebuilding them, and destroying lives in the process. Clara, I whispered, you barely know him. Her tone shifted just slightly. That's been almost a year, darling. I didn't want to say anything until it was real. I know what you went through with your divorce. But trust me, Adam, isn't like that. The irony nearly choked me. After we hung up, I sat in silence, the weight of the secret pressing down on me. Clara had been my rock when Adam broke me. She held me when I cried, poured me wine when I swore I'd never love again, told me I deserved better. And now, without knowing, she had invited the very man who ruined me into her life. Her heart, her bed. I wanted to protect her. But to tell her the truth meant reopening my wounds, dragging my pain into the light and watching her world collapse. And Adam knew it. The following weekend, we gathered again at Clara's house for Sunday brunch. The moment I stepped inside, Adam's eyes caught mine. There was no warmth, no shame, only a calculated gleam, as though he relished the power he now held Dot after the meal. While Clara busied herself in the kitchen, Adam cornered me in the hallway. You haven't changed, he murmured, his voice low, dangerous. Still wearing your heart on your sleeve, still so easy to read. I stiffened. What are you doing here, Adam? Why Clara? He smirked. Why not? She's beautiful. She adores me, and now you can't escape me. I'm family. My stomach twisted. You'll hurt her, just like you hurt me. His gaze hardened, though the smile never left his lips. Maybe, maybe not. That's for me to decide. But you'll stay quiet. Because if you don't, she'll think you're jealous or bitter. And then you'll lose her. The audacity stole my breath. He had me trapped, caged by the very love I held for my aunt. Clara's footsteps approached, and Adam straightened, slipping effortlessly back into the role of devoted husband. He kissed her cheek, complimented her cooking, and laughed when she teased him about eating too much, and I stood there, a silent witness, my heart pounding with rage and fear. That night, when I left her house, I realized something. Adam hadn't just walked back into my life. He had embedded himself into the very fabric of my family, and unless I did something, he was going to tear it all apart. The weight of secrets the days after that brunch stretched like a taut string, threatening to snap at the slightest pull. I carried the secret like a stone strapped to my chest, heavy and unrelenting. At work, I caught myself staring at shelves of books without reading the titles, my mind replaying Adam's words over and over. At night, sleep evaded me, replaced by the echo of his smirk, his voice, his warning. Every family text thread now included him. Clara would send photos Adam fixing the fence, Adam carrying groceries, Adam smiling at Sunday service beside her. My cousins teased him already, calling him Uncle Adam like it was the most natural thing in the world, Dot. But for me, it was poison, Dot. I didn't know which was worse. Watching him entangle himself into our lives, or knowing that, to my family, I was the only one who saw the wolf behind the sheep's clothing. One evening, Clara invited me over for dinner again. I told myself I'd make an excuse, but something inside me, the need to protect her, dragged me there anyway. When I arrived, Adam opened the door. He looked annoyingly comfortable, like he'd lived in that house forever. He wore a navy sweater I once bought him for his birthday, years ago. My breath caught in my throat, though I forced myself not to show it. Come in, he said smoothly, stepping aside. You'll make Clara worry if you keep avoiding us. I brushed past him without a word, but the scent of his cologne clung. To me, like a memory, I wanted to burn Dot at dinner. Clara beamed, chatting about a trip they planned to take in the summer. We're going to Maine, she said, squeezing Adam's hand. He's never been. Can you believe it? I smiled tightly, stabbing at my food. I had taken Adam to Maine once. He had promised me forever on a rocky shore while the tide crashed beneath us. Forever had lasted less than 3 years. Later, while Clara cleared the dishes, Adam leaned closer across the table. His voice dropped to a whisper. Do you ever think about us? My fork clattered against my plate. Don't, I hissed. His smirk returned. I see it in your eyes. The past doesn't just disappear, does it? My hands trembled beneath the table. You disgust me. Maybe, he said with a shrug. But you won't tell her. You can't, because deep down, you know it'll destroy her. And you won't be the one to do that. I wanted to scream, to flip the table, to drag Clara into the room and force the truth into the open. But I looked toward the kitchen and saw her humming softly as she loaded the dishwasher. Happy, safe in the lie she didn't know she was living. And I stayed silent. The weeks that followed were a nightmare of pretense. Holidays came, gatherings piled up, and Adam was always there wrapping presents, carving the turkey, giving toasts at the table. My cousins adored him, my uncle praised him, and Clara, she glowed like a woman in love, but every time he brushed past me in the hallway, every time his eyes lingered too long, I felt the truth pressing harder, heavier. I began writing in a journal, scribbling my memories, my rage, my helplessness. Maybe if I couldn't tell Clara, I could at least tell the pages. Each word bled like confession. He's dangerous. He's a liar. He will break her. One night, I nearly broke. Clara and I were sitting on her porch, sipping wine while Adam was inside making coffee. She leaned her head on my shoulder, her voice soft. I never thought I'd get another chance at love, she said. After your uncle passed, I thought that was it. But Adam, he gave me hope again. He makes me feel alive. My throat closed. Tears stung my eyes, but I swallowed them back. She looked so fragile in her joy, so certain. How could I rip that from her? So I stayed quiet again, but silence has a cost. And with every day that passed, I felt it tightening around my neck, suffocating me. Because secrets don't stay buried forever. They wait, they fester. And when they surface, they tear everything apart. Bloodlines and broken vows, Christmas Eve was always my family's biggest tradition. Claire's house glowed with lights strung across the porch, candles flickering in the windows, and the smell of cinnamon rolls filling the air. Every year, we gathered around her long dining table, exchanging stories, laughter, and gifts. But this year, joy tasted like ash in my mouth. Adam was there, of course. He played the perfect host, pouring wine, handing out presents, making everyone laugh with stories that sounded rehearsed. He fit into my family like a puzzle piece that didn't belong but forced itself anyway, and I couldn't take it anymore. I had spent months carrying the weight of silence, choking on secrets every time I saw Clara's smile. But tonight, something inside me snapped. Maybe it was the way Adam's hand lingered on Clara's back as he guided her to the table. Maybe it was the smirk he gave me when no one else was looking. Or maybe it was just that I was done being his prisoner. Dinner began, plates passed. Toasts made. My cousins joked, my uncle laughed, Clara beamed. Then Adam raised his glass once again, to family, he said smoothly. His eyes found mine, daring me to new beginnings. The words sliced through me. I slammed my glass down, the sound echoing louder than I intended. The table fell silent, every eye turning toward me. My heart pounded, my palms slick with sweat. No, I said, my voice trembling but sharp. Not new beginnings. Not this, Clara blinked, confusion clouding her features. Sweetheart, what's wrong? I stood, my legs shaky, but my voice grew stronger. He doesn't belong here. He isn't who you think he is. Adam leaned back in his chair, a calm predator, his smirk widening. Careful, he murmured, just loud enough for me to hear. But I didn't care anymore. Clara, I said, my throat tight. You need to know the truth. Adam isn't just your husband, he's my ex-husband. The words dropped like a bomb. Gasps filled the room. My cousins exchanged horrified looks. My uncle's fork clattered to his plate. But Clara just stared at me, her face pale, her wineglass trembling in her hand. What? She whispered. I nodded, tears spilling now. It's true. We were married. Years ago. He broke me, Clara. He cheated, he lied, he destroyed everything. And now he's doing the same thing to you. The silence was deafening. Adam finally spoke, his tone smooth, practiced. She's lying. He laughed softly, shaking his head. She's always been dramatic, jealous. She can't stand to see me happy with someone else. My chest heaved. Don't you dare twist this. I kept quiet because I didn't want to hurt her. But you've been taunting me, manipulating me. Enough. Clara looked between us, her eyes wide, searching for truth. Adam, is this real? Adam reached for her hand. Darling, no, she's bitter. That's all. But Clara pulled her hand away. Her gaze locked on me, trembling, broken. You swear this is true? I nodded, sobbing. I swear. I would never lie to you, not about this. The room spun with tension. My cousins whispered, my uncle swore. Under his breath, Clara stood, her face crumbling. Get out, she said softly. Adam froze. Clara, get out. Her voice thundered, shaking the walls. You lied to me. You married me knowing this? Knowing what you did to her? Get out of my house. For the first time, Adam's mask slipped. His jaw tightened, his eyes darkened, but he knew he had lost. He grabbed his coat, muttering curses under his breath, and stormed out into the cold. Night. The door slammed, and silence fell again. Clara turned to me, tears streaming down her cheeks. Why didn't you tell me sooner? I broke then, collapsing into her arms, because I didn't want to hurt you. You were happy, and I couldn't take that from you. She held me tight, sobbing into my shoulder. You should have told. But thank you. Thank you for finally telling me. That night, the family sat together in shock, piecing together what had just unraveled. The Christmas lights still twinkled, but the air felt heavy, scarred. In the weeks that followed. Clara filed for annulment. She stopped answering Adam's calls, blocked his number, and leaned on me the way I had once leaned on her. Slowly, painfully, she began to heal. And me? I realized something important. The past doesn't stay buried. It claws its way back, demanding to be faced. But facing it doesn't mean it wins. For the first time in years, I felt free. Not because Adam was gone, but because I had found my voice. And this time, I wasn't going to lose it.